uppercut, uppercut, sonic boom! G'day Grubs, today we are going to be talking about the Beryl M762. I'm going to give you the inside info on the raw recoil numbers, the data, not just squiggly lines that tell you absolutely nothing. I'm going to give you the bullet speed, the rate of fire, the time to kill, the hip fire accuracy, and I'm going to graph it for you so you can see it compared to the M416 and the AUG. I'm going to do all of this, and if you do a little something for me, that would help too. Just hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends about it, and then walk your dog and eat your veggies, and just be generally nice to the other people, even the ones on the plane who yell and scream. Be nice to them too. I'm Bushka, and thank you so much for watching. This is part of an ongoing series of AR videos. I'm getting deep on the ARs. I've got a playlist here. I'll drop that later in the video if you want to check it out. So far, we've done the SCAR, the ACE-32, and the AUG, but we're going to be doing the lot. And I'm going to kick this off with a very interesting graph that I made of the weapons we've done so far. This is the horizontal and vertical recoil of all 5 of those guns. Now, these numbers are not random. I got them by measuring the pixel distance between the rounds when you fire them at a set target. And the average pixel distance on the vertical for the M762 was nearly 50. And the average horizontal recoil on the M762 was nearly 10, or it was actually flat on 10. And that's a lot, because as you can see from that graph, it's the highest for both horizontal and vertical. And that's going to change a lot of our interactions with this weapon. And it's going to really dictate a lot of what this weapon is good for. To give you a little point of reference of, and that was so unfortunate, the fiddlestick actually landed on the car. This is a Graza. Watch the Graza's vertical recoil. It goes up to about a third of the way up that window. Watch the vertical recoil of the M762. It goes up to the top of the window. That's a lot of vertical recoil. And this doesn't seem like a problem with a lot of guns. There's lots of guns that have vertical recoil that's quite high. None of them quite as nasty as this. And yet, I seem to be controlling it pretty well. That's because what I don't do with this weapon is run it with anything other than a red dot or the iron sights, which, by the way, got changed a couple of years ago. They used to be the worst iron sights in game, and then the FAMAs turned up. Its time to kill a level 2 vest is 0.288 seconds. Now, that's actually pretty good. That's because it's got a base damage round of 45.9, which is about 2 damage, or about 4.5% lower than the AKM's chest damage. It doesn't have the AKM's insane 32.4 base limb damage, which is really crazy, but it does have the AKM's exact rate of fire. 625 rounds a minute is the same as the AKM. Unfortunately, it also inherits that kind of bullet speed, 670 meters a second. Now, this, coupled with the recoil, means I would class this as a pure primary slot AR. If you are using this as a spray weapon, then you are using it incorrectly. I'm not saying you can't do it, because hell, I've had full 6x sprays with this gun, and they've been successful. What I'm saying is that it's not as good as the other competitors in its class. Why exactly? I will take a second to answer that. Bullet speed is everything for a spray weapon, primarily. If you're looking at this car that's moving left to right of your screen, and you're using an M416, you have to lead the target by next to nothing, because it has 900 meters a second bullet speed. That's 30% more bullet speed than you get with the M762. Well, it's under 30%, but it's not far off 30%. And that means that you're less accurate. You're also dealing with higher recoil. Now, this is the hip fire of the M762. Now, we do this test where we spray this wall, and I track every single round inside the hip fire reticle. Now, the reticle is that circle made by the 4 points. And if you overlay them, you can see that the 762, which is the light blue rounds, is all the way on the outside of that reticle, all over the place. And it has very few rounds in the middle. The one in the middle, for instance, all those purples in the dead center, that's the AUG. The AUG is insane. It's got the smallest hip fire circle, and it's got easily the best rate of fire, and it gets the most rounds out during the hip fire expansion mode. That's in the first 1.5 seconds when the circle is expanding to its full hipfire radius. Faster weapons do a lot better than slow fire weapons. Anyway, long story short, it's not great at hipfire. And unlike the Ace and the M416, you can't be saved. See, we just did the Ace 32 video where I was able to run a barrel extender with the Ace 32, an angle grip with the Ace 32, and also run a heavy stock. And the heavy stock has made guns like the Ace 32 really, really shine. If you haven't tried the Ace lately, it's like a ghetto grazer, which is exactly what I call it. The heavy stock cures a lot of ills. Because the barrel can't run that, you don't get the same level of joy. And you can't compensate for that big damage difference, which means that when you need to, I don't know, run a barrel extender to up your damage to a high enough number that it starts to make sense to run the barrel over an AKM, you can't without losing a big chunk of your recoil control. Now, again, I was very successful with the barrel as a primary AR in the one slot, using it in CQC and out to this kind of 35 meter range. Because with such high vertical recoil, you used to really struggle with the barrel and you'd have to run a vertical foregrip. However, PUBG Mobile did a huge update to the way the grips work and the way the muzzle attachments work. And the basis that we came to with that was I tested them all and I got the raw numbers, and I found that there are some really exceptional options. And one of the things that I ran last night, I did a whole gameplay where I was running the barrel on Rondo and had about 2k damage and we won the game. I ran a half grip with that because the half grip actually has excellent horizontal and excellent vertical recoil control. Well, it has some vertical recoil control, and you need both because the barrel has worse horizontal and worse vertical than anything else, right? On top of that, with the barrel, you can also run, and it's one of the ones that I recommend this most highly, the ergonomic grip. Ergonomic grip is the best all-rounder grip in PUBG Mobile. Now, I run mostly the angle grip because the angle grip is pure horizontal recoil control. And that's a great thing to run. But the vertical, the horizontal, they're all covered by the ergonomic grip. So my primary choices on the barrel would be a muzzle brake, which again is incredible, a ergonomic grip, and an extended AR mag. If you had to, I would then run a half grip, and after that, I'd run either the angled or the vertical. Vertical's still easier to control for me than horizontal, and horizontal is the more important to wipe out. But if you can get a grip that'll do a little bit of both, then why not do a little bit of both? So, the M762 barrel, the final conclusions. It's not really competing with an M416, which is what I base most of the comparisons with in this video. Not because they're the most applicable gun to, compete with, but mostly because running it versus the M416 gives people who haven't played a lot of these ARs a chance to understand it against something that they run. Everyone seems to run the M416. Not me particularly, but everyone else. The further away you are from a target, the more vertical recoil impacts. Horizontal is still the most important, but when you get out to like this kind of range, you see how small these targets are, right? When you've got big vertical kick, big animation kick going straight up, then you're actually going over the top of the target. Like you're literally above the target's head when you fire the gun. And that's what happens with the barrel. Sure, you will occasionally get a spray that works. And I must suggest, if you are ever spraying with the barrel, don't worry about going prone. You want to crouch on all your sprays. If you crouch on sprays with the barrel, you will cut the recoil down by a good, 40, 50%. I haven't done the numbers, but that's what they used to be. I haven't retested it. And trust me, I will retest it. Like, it's going to happen. We're going to retest this. Because I love testing things, and I love making measurements and taking numbers and things like that. We're going to maybe do the AKM next. If you want to leave a message below or a comment outlining which gun you'd like to see, I'll happily look at it, and it is influencing my decision on which one to do next. They are all successful. They can all be run. And with the new grips, there is a lot more leeway for making them the best version of themselves. I just see the Beryl as being inferior in a CQC role to the AKM and the Ace-32 and the AUG, really. Like, the AUG's hipfire means that it's just better in these really, really close situations. But it's still a very good weapon that you can absolutely run. And if you run a bolt-action 7.62 rifle like I do, running two 7.62 weapons is a huge savior on your backpack space. Like, it's a real killer. You can run 260 rounds of 7.62 and have all your weapon slots covered off and have more space for other things like, I don't know, meds, utilities, self-revives, emergency airlifts. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. And as always, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.